How you doing? So this is a quick update on this small maple grove that I put together back in 2021, April of 2021 to be specific. So this year I had planned to trim all three of the trees as far as these long shoots that have grown that you see here. So on the front tree, this one, and on the back tree, it has a leader that's growing off of the shoot. I had planned to trim them back to force more back budding in the main trunks. So this particular trunk, it has this here that I'm using as a sacrifice branch, so you can see that that's a separate branch. I'm using that to thicken up this front tree a little more. But what ended up happening is that as the growing season got started, my trees were infected with the fungus that I'm pretty sure was Anthracnose, but it basically killed all the leaves. And with this particular grouping, with this being a smaller one, it suffered greatly. So I'll spin this around to the side so that you can see. I'm pretty sure that the smallest of the trees, this one, died. It was really infected badly to the point that I cut it. I cut the infected leaves off. It didn't shoot new leaves out. It didn't back bud anything as the other two trees have done. It just basically died. So I cut the one leader off the main trunk, and because this has been incorporated into this grouping for so long, I'm not going to go through the process of digging it out. I'm just going to leave it there. So if it's not dead, hopefully it'll grow back, but for now that's it. So here's the back, what I've always counted as the back. And since I haven't done any pruning that I wanted to do, it actually looks better from the back now, but eventually these longer shoots that I have here, all of this is going to get cut back to force more branching. Now, to give you some reference as to this leaf size, I have a half size red maple leaf. This isn't a full size red maple leaf. Red maple leaves can get twice this size. And look at that. So if I put that in there, this one leaf covers that whole tree. And this front tree has multiple leaves on it. So as far as the rest of the growing season, because of that fungus that hit this tree, I'm not going to defoliate it again, and I'm not going to prune it back. I'm going to save all of that for next year. Here's a side view. Now, the only thing that I have done since I originally planted this tree, I added 2 different rocks in the back for depth. So when you turn this around, it just gives a different view as you're looking. It looks different than it does on camera. And I clipped the tips of the tree so you can see here where I made the cut on this one. It's harder to see on the front tree. And this particular one, if it were growing with the small leaves that it was producing, this grouping would look just so, it looked so much better. It did. But I'm okay with it. It's just the way things are. You know, I've lost trees before for various reasons. This is the first time I lost one due to a fungus. But for now, it's doing what I hoped it would do. I've kept the trees below 4 inches tall, which is what I'm going to be doing. The trunks are still very small. I do want this front tree to get a little thicker. I want it to be a little bit more prominent than this back tree. But Eventually, I'm gonna cut this at least in half. It's way more taller than I wanted it to be. So you can see this is a chopstick, a normal size chopstick, so that you can see how tall the trees are in the pot. They're not, even with them sitting up in this tray, they're still not that tall. And you know, of course, the reference of a regular sized leaf, you can see how small I've been able to keep not only the leaves, but the trees. And as they produce more roots, I hope that the leaves will get even smaller. Now, I'll show you just so you can understand what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to bring this in because there are some microscopic leaves on this grouping. So I'm gonna point out with a pointer so you can see. There's a leaf right there, and here is a leaf right there. So let me move that. There's a leaf right there. There's actually two that you can make out. Really, really, really small leaves. And it's been my experience that these leaves that are that small don't get much bigger. I don't like touching this. I cleaned my hands before I started filming, but even still. So inside here, there's a leaf in there. It might be easier if I use the pointer. But here is the leaf right here. It's very tiny. But even this one are gigantic compared to the smallest leaves that are on this grouping. And so what I'll do, I'll let it go through the rest of the growing season without doing anything to it. I had some bug damage. You can see the bug damage right here. And there's a little bit of fungus on this particular leaf. I should just go ahead and I'll pluck this off. So this leaf had the bug damage. You can see clearly, and you can see a little discolorization when compared to those healthier leaves. But I am still very happy with the way it responded to the treatment. I used defoliation and neem oil. And so hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I appreciate the interest that you show very much. Have a nice evening.